David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Over the last few years, the Italian retailer Stilo Stile has done, in my opinion, a very good job of partnering with different manufacturers for some quality retail exclusive limited edition pens. Some of my favorite Leonardos have been their collaborations. Historically, these limited editions don't stay around for long. And here's a look at a few. There was the Cometa, and then there was the Micarta model, and then even the Prisma. Today, I have for you their most recent collaboration with Leonardo, which just launched and is a Momento Zero 2.0 model called Desert Night. What I am going to do today is go over the parts and features of this oasis of a pen, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'm going to talk about a very cool specialty nib program the company has, as well as show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to the good folks at Stilo Stile for providing this pen for review. They were good enough to get me this pen out prior to its release, so I don't have the final custom packaging, but it will arrive in a standard Leonardo box with a custom sleeve. And here is the pen. The Momento Zero 2.0 Desert Night. I really feel that this resin has a great deal of personality. The resin is made in Italy and was created with the intention of having a multi-dimensional effect, providing the end user with a sense of natural motion and the sand whipping around a warm desert evening. The result is a material where the semi-transparent amber areas are mixed with white, brown, and black reflections, which are positioned at different heights, creating a fascinating three-dimensional effect. Okay, let's take a look at the parts and features of this nomadic offering. The top of the cap comes to a round coned point. This transitioned into the traditional Leonardo clip. This clip is a bit on the short side and punctuated with a wheeled end, which I've always been a big fan of. Now, the cap tapers up slightly until about this point where it straightens out. On the back of the cap, it is engraved with Leonardo, Stilo Stile, and the number of this pen. As I mentioned, this is a limited edition offering of 250 units. At the end of the cap, there are 3 equal-sized thin silver-colored rings. And then at the end of the cap, it incorporates a stair-step transition into the barrel. The barrel actually angles up slightly, with the thickest portion of the barrel being about here, and then it tapers down until you reach another silver band, which signifies the beginning of the piston knob. And the end of the knob, like the top of the cap, comes to a rounded coned point. The cap twists off with a single rotation, and underneath we have a number 6 stainless steel Leonardo La Fenice nib. The nib is available in lots of different options. There is the standard extra fine, fine, medium, broad, 1.5 stub, as well as flex fine and flex extra fine. And here's a look at the plastic feed. Something cool as well, Stilo Stile has a specialty nib program where when you are purchasing this pen at an additional cost besides the nib which comes with the pen, you can order a second nib which has a custom grind from very talented nibmeisters. You can order specialty nibs from Matthew Chin, Mark Backus, as well as Jose Manura. I won't list all of the grinds, but there are 10 different available grinds between all 3 gentlemen. The prices vary depending on the grind. They range from around $65 to $175, depending on the euro to dollar exchange rate. It's a neat opportunity to get a unique specialty grind from a talented nibmeister on your brand new pen. The section begins with a medium-sized flare and angles up only slightly before reaching the resin threads. After the threads, you will find the ink window. It's a healthy size, so you'll get a good look at your ink situation. It's something small, but I do like that the ink window has very thin silver bands on either side. I think that looks nicer than if it was just a transition from amber to the clear resin and then back to the amber. Even though the section is a bit on the medium to short side, I do find it comfortable in the hand, and the threads are not sharp or uncomfortable if your grip should come in contact with them. It's very well balanced overall. The cap does post. It does post securely. And while it does add a bit of additional length, I don't find it backweights this pen or throws off the balance. Since I mentioned the piston knob and the ink window, you can safely deduce that this pen is a piston filler. The piston mechanism is smooth and easy to operate. Now, the translucency of this resin will vary from pen to pen. On this particular model, there's some more transparent parts over the ink chamber. So on this one, you'll be able to get a really good look at the ink outside of the ink window. But like I said, that will vary on each pen. So by no means would I describe this as a demonstrator. I'll just say that this one is a semi-demonstrator. The Leonardo Momento Zero Grande 2.0 Desert Nights is available exclusively through Stilo Stile. I will put a link to their site in the notes below. I mentioned it previously, but it is a limited edition of 250 units. The cost for this pen is 162 euros. Depending on the exchange rate, that equates to about $176. If you are in the EU, the price will be 199 euros. Equipped with a gold nib, this pen is $350, which I feel is a reasonable price for a gold nib on this quality pen. For EU customers, the gold nib price is 430 euros. And then, as I mentioned, you have the opportunity to purchase an additional nib with that specialty grind, which is something pretty neat. If you're watching this on the day I post this, the pen is available to purchase now. The previous limited edition Leonardo partnerships with Stilo Stile have all been very popular, and each is sold out rather quickly. So if this pen is something that interests you, it would be advisable to act sooner rather than later, because they are most likely not going to be around for very long. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample. So here we have a closer look at the Leonardo Momento Zero 2.0 Desert Sands. I wanted to give you another closer look at this resin. I just really think that they did a good job of executing what a desert night looks like. And it kind of looks like a starry night with some sand mixed in. I mentioned before that you can kind of see the ink in here a little bit, which is why it's a little bit darker. But I think it's just really well executed and looks really nice. In regard to a couple of my other favorite Stilo Stile and Leonardo collaborations, this was the Cometa. This probably is one of my favorites. Then we had the Micarta, which is another really nice one. And then we had the Prisma, which I think looks just really, really sharp. But you can see it's slightly larger. The 2.0 is slightly larger than the standard Momento Zero model. And in regard to a couple of non-Leonardo pens, here it is with a Montegrappa Elmo. That's the Chrysiocolla model. And then here is a Sailor Canrecchi, which is essentially a Pro Gear. And then here it is with an Aurora Optima. In regard to uncapped comparisons, here it is with the standard Momento Zero. And then here it is with the Pro Gear, which is basically the Canrecchi model. And then here it is with the Elmo. Here we go with the writing sample for the Leonardo Momento Zero 2.0, and this is the Desert Sands, or Desert Night, excuse me, Desert Night. Did I say Desert Sands earlier? Well, it's Desert Nights, if I said the name wrong earlier. And the ink that I'm using is one that I thought was appropriate with this pen, which is Conway Stewart King Sand. Oh, and this is a broad stainless steel nib. This is what the ink looks like. It is a nice sandy brown. I will be honest, I haven't used this ink that much, but with a name like King Sand, I had to use it with this pen. Here it is in comparison to a Monteverdi pumpkin cake. And then here, this is Bung Box Piano Mahogany, which is a little bit more on the red side. This is what the bottle looks like. It was made for Conway Stewart by Diamine. You could tell that it does have the label on top, as well as the bottle that's used for a lot of Diamine inks. But it is a nice ink. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I do care for this broad nib. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of it, but it is fairly smooth. It does have a little bit of feedback to it, but it does lay down a nice, healthy amount of ink. I even spit some out here as I accidentally flicked it. And then in regard to reverse writing, you can see it's a little bit spotty. And then in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up very well. So there we have the Leonardo Momento Zero 2.0 Desert Night. I will put a link to it in the notes below. I think this is another solid effort from Leonardo in conjunction with Stilo and Stile, and I honestly don't feel that they'll be around for very long. So like I mentioned, I would recommend taking action sooner rather than later if this catches your eye. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.